And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called Get Off My Land. Yeah, that's that guy who he doesn't want you there. He's going to fight over the farming. And when I first saw this game from First Fish Games, I was like, it's a silly game. And then I looked at it, I was like, well, this game looks like a more serious farming style game. And then I played it, and I was like, which is it? Is it silly or is it serious? Let's look. So you're going to build a little layout depending on the number of players. This is a 4-player game. Each player is going to have a farm, basically your farmhouse piece. There's actually several farmhouse pieces. And this is going to give you bonus points at the end of the game that only you know about. And then you'll have fences around that and one of the fields next to it. These are basically meadows. They're the same on both sides, but there's also tree pieces, which will have other things on the sides of them. And then like more of a deep forest pieces, which will be in the middle. And so what players the goal of this game is to get the most money. So you're going to be trying to get money through various ways. And you're going to be doing that by building up your own farm area. And so each round of the game, and the rounds are kept track of by this weather vane here, and at certain points there's going to be scoring and or plants are going to mature and things like that. So on your turn, you have different actions that you can take. One of your actions is you can buy a card from the store. Now the store here is a row of cards and there's a cost on top of each one. So you can simply just buy this. So I might buy some chickens here. Now chickens, when you buy them, they are immature. They're not finished yet. And you're going to have to wait till they mature. And when they go up here, then there's 2 numbers here. This is if you ever decided to sell it, it's worth 5 money. Or it's going to give you 3 money every income phase. So chickens are pretty good not to sell them. They're just going to give you that money right now. While pigs don't give you anything from turn to turn, but when you sell pigs, boom, you get 10 bucks. Other things you can buy crops. Crops are very similar, like these will give you 2 every income phase, or you can harvest them. You'll also notice that there is these cannot be eaten by animals and they're immune to weather. On the turns, all your crops are going to die between November and December, except for obviously the orchard because it's immune to that. And some fields, like if you have a cornfield somewhere and then next to it you have your own pigs and you don't have a fence in between them, the pigs will eat your cornfield. Although you'll notice here that if you have the cornfield, then it makes your pigs worth more to sell because they do like corn so much. The other things you can buy, there's also some equipment. These basically just give you a special ability. The workhorse gives you 1 income every turn. You can sell it for a card. And it also gives you -2 to purchase crops and -1 to purchase lumber. So like I said, one of the things you can do is go to the store. You can also always go buy some more fences to put on the board or move fences. Another thing you can do is you can play a card. Get Off My Land is really all about these cards. There's a whole deck of cards. You'll start with some and you'll be drawing more as time goes by. And you can play a card either for 3 fences down here, or you can do whatever else it does here. So for example, I can purchase a market card, mature a livestock I control, or mature another livestock I control. So I can do 2 of those things. Slash and burn, draw 2 forest tiles and flip 2 forest tiles and draw 3 fence cards. Perform 2 harvest actions. So there's also things that let you attack other people or put your farmer on the board. Each player has their own farmer piece, and if you have that farmer piece on someone else's area, then you're going to get the money from that area and not them. Now, as you expand these fences, you can open things up, and again, you got to be careful not to let your animals eat your crops. But you might come up against somebody else. You're going to fight people, and when that happens, you can take over someone's property, but they can discard 3 bullet holes to stop you from the cards that they have. And there's other cards in here that will attack players too. Also on your turn, you can do some logging. You can take one of these tiles and flip it over. It might give you a an immediate benefit. Here you get 2 cards. This one also has a permanent benefit. It's going to add 1 and 3 to any crops that are placed there. Sometimes just some immediate benefits, $2 and 2 cards. And then once you clear the forest, you can plant in these spots. This one here is a fishing pond. If you don't put anything on it, it gives you income every turn. And then there's also oil tiles. At the end of the game, oil tiles are going to give you 1 point for every land tile you control. And if you control a lot of oil tiles, you can get a lot of points at the end of the game. So you're going to be doing this, you're going to be harvesting, and you'll be taking your 2 actions each round. And like I said, after each these rounds here, different things are going to happen. And when you get to the end of the game, you'll do your final scoring. Well, you'll reveal your tile. So this person, for every different named market card they control, they're going to get extra money. You'll get extra points, money for the different oil wells you have. You'll add that to the money that you've gotten over the course of the game, and whoever has the most money is the winner. I really like the money that comes with the game. Card money is always very vastly preferable to paper money, and it all looks very different. It's good quality card stock. It's easy to see. It looks cute. The money is good. So is the pieces of the game. I like that the meeples have the screened overalls on them. These sticks are big and colorful. They're easy to put down. The only problem I would have with the components is that the trees, when you're setting the game up, these are different, but they don't look instantly different until we figured out there were pine trees in the ones that's supposed to go in the middle. This board, totally unnecessary, but really nice. The cards slide into it, so it comes in half. That's good. The cards themselves are easy. And then the artwork has a very silly vibe to it, obviously with steroids, and it's obviously they're going for, hey, these people are rednecks type style, hicks. And this is obviously from the TV show and such, but it looks good, and it's also all very good quality. This marker here is actually pretty cool, and it's a little annoying maybe to slide it down, but it looks good, and it's easy to tell who's taking what turns. And the rule book also very well done, easy to figure out, and everything fits nicely into a plastic insert. Oh yeah, there's also a nice first player marker. So the game has this kind of weird mix to it here. I mean, it's beautiful looking game, okay? The production is really gorgeous. But it's kind of a weird mix of, like I said, this serious, hey, build my stuff up, and some silliness to it. I don't mind the silliness. The idea of the whole hick farm is kind of funny. But it really only comes into play from that deck of cards. Now, we'll come back to that deck of cards. Let's talk about the game itself. The crops cards, the store cards, they come up in shifts. So you have A, B, and C decks. You shuffle them, but really they're just a distribution. The game really doesn't have any kind of escalation to it. It's not like it gets better as time goes by. No, it's just the same. It's more the same. And the only escalation comes where you're going to be butting heads with the other players as you try to move their fence into their territory. But it's not like you can set up any kind of really cool engine here. That is also coupled with the fact that there's some pretty strong luck to this game, not just in which cards you'll draw, but what things you find when you're logging, or if the oil happens to be on your side of the board and it's hard for other people to get to it, because as you build fences, you have to stay connected to yourself. Now, the game has a strong element of take that in it, and this comes back with that deck of cards. Those cards are interesting, and they're funny, and they're useful, but they're really just, you're constantly nailing each other to the wall, constantly doing bad things. Sure, you can do things for yourself, but if you're the kind of person who wants to build up your farm, and then someone else, I just did this, boom, I put my farmer here, I did this, and that can make the game less fun, and I think the game might be slightly too long for it really to be a take that game. The idea of moving your fences up are good, but then you can just take someone's over, and if they don't happen to have the bullet holes to protect themselves, boom, you just got it. Or they can spend time going to the store, doing other actions to draw these cards and get them just so they can defend against you. The idea of the crops giving money every turn, or you can sell, the pigs or whatever for money, I really thought that concept was cool. I like the idea of expanding and growing in territory, and I don't even mind the area necessarily of fighting over the territory, but those oil wells are extremely valuable at the end of the game, and if you let someone get 2 or 3 of them, they can win the game based on that alone. Get Off My Land is not a bad game, but it's not a great game either. It's kind of just there in the middle. It has an amazingly great production, hands down, really nicely done. And it has a focus. It's this farm theme. But I almost wish they had kind of laid off the humor bit, and I know I like the humor, but laid off it and made some more cool decisions. These kind of games work well because you're like, oh, I built this, and there's the pigs, and they work with the corn. But since you really can't set that stuff up, it's kind of just luck on how it shows up and when it shows up. It just doesn't work as well overall for me. So I didn't dislike it. I think it's fine, and I'd like to see more from the same company. But there's a lot of farming games out there, and the added humor to this one doesn't really elevate it enough to make it something different that I can recommend. Dice Tower Judgment, a farming game that some people are going to like, as long as you like Take That.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.